Aloha Friday Hulahans. I'm here
Hey,
with Johnny St. Johnny Brad.
another week has flown by, Danny. First week in April, almost pa.
Almost Easter, almost another shoulder season. Summer's around the corner. The whales are
I got
leaving.
probably got about one more month that I can squeeze surfing up here in Kapalua. And gonna have to start driving into town.
Town life.
Maybe could I put up like a Nest camera somewhere in the bushes at like Shark Pit and just like turn it on and off with my phone?
Yeah, you could
Like
probably do something like that.
get my own little cam out there or something. Maybe just stash it on somebody's catamaran and then I could just look.
Well, you don't have to drive back and forth. I mean, probably shouldn't announce it to the public like this, but
Whoa. Yeah,
someone might be a
delete,
tech
delete,
guru.
delete.
Get that out of here. Anyways,
Uh,
Johnny, let's talk a little bit about what's going on
whew.
in the world of smart money.
Hmm. Well, dude, it's the stock market seems to just be getting beaten down like a clubbed baby seal that they say sometimes, man. Boy, whiplash, 1,400 point drops, then it's swinging away. And I'm beating myself up because I read about what Trump would do and how he constantly causes chaos when he gets into the stock market. And I had this little position in GLD, it's an ETF that follows gold price. And then I was like, oh, everything's going to be great once he gets into office. He's going to cure it all. And I really wish I would have held on to that position, Danny, because gold's
Hmm.
through the roof. Trump definitely showed up and threw chaos. And yet, what's an ancillary benefit that we're seeing in real estate from all this chaos, dude?
People are looking at real estate as maybe a more stable, more solid option for their portfolio.
So there's one thing, right? Driving to hard assets, out of tech maybe for a bit. But dude, I'm watching rates drop, man. 6.6%. We have not seen that in a long time. Our boy Tony, with rate guaranteed rate, sent out his sheet. Dude, you can buy down to 5.5 with like one and a three-quarter points. So sure, it's going to cost you some money, but man, seeing 5.5 as a possibility gets people off the sidelines.
Sure does. It seems like not just the high end is benefiting potentially, but maybe a bit more of the market is having a chance at making some moves.
Well, this is typically the times when smart money comes in. And what do I mean by smart money, right? Well, number one, they have some money to invest. Number two, you know, so we're already starting to see hints of things maybe getting better here on Maui, right? The further we get away from the fires, people are rebuilding there. At some point, they're going to start rebuilding Lahaina, and that's going to kick off a lot of activity here on the west side. Um, so we're starting to see some green shoots. We're hearing this every single week from our property manager friends where, through their effective marketing, they're starting to see some life and people are booking further out in the future. So what do I mean by smart money? Well, smart money comes in while things are still beat up, but starting to turn around, right? And they've got the money to where they're not telling themselves, oh my God, I'm going to stretch myself thin. I'm going to take a mortgage out that's got to be paid by all this rental income. They've got reserves. They're going to float along for a little bit, but they're the ones that are going to enjoy the escalator up. And
Hmm.
unfortunately, what'll happen for most, though, is most of us move with the herd and we wait until we get all these all clear signs. Oh, rates have dipped down to the 5%. Everybody's rushing to Maui for tourism, and the rates for the vacation rental condos are through the roof. This is typically the all clear sign for most consumers to come in and buy. And that's where you get yourself involved in markets like we had here. Once, COVID hit, and then people start to see that, hey, I could shelter in place over in Maui. And then we saw that boom, right? So where
Sure
we
did.
thought it was going to be a well-needed, healthy correction, instead things went parabolic and just went crazy in price. It did us no favors over here for people that live full-time in Maui because the prices are still elevated. They have not dropped below pre-COVID pricing, right? So,
Correct.
I mean, when I look at it for what it did here, I mean, that's basically all it did. And, awesome for the people that we helped during that time. But, you and I have talked literally what, 85% of everybody that came over and sheltered in place for a few months, have all sold, made a great profit, and are gone again. So
That's it. So
I feel
what are we
smart
seeing in the
money's coming
market
in.
now?
Well, so there's fear out there for, and it's not with everybody, or the level of fear isn't with everybody. But, when we go through the numbers today, there's definitely some bargains being had. And a lot of it's coming from cash.
Hmm.
So are they liquidating from stocks to put into Maui real estate? Could be. We saw that
Could
happen
be
with one
part
of
of
our
it.
clients, right? Work with NVIDIA. I felt like his strategy was, wow, this thing's so high. Maybe I need to reallocate some to something that I love and, a different type of investment. And looking at where the stock is now from that particular time, well played. Well played.
Great play.
Yep. I mean, he's still doing well in terms of the values of where he bought. Guy didn't need the income. So, that's also helpful there as well. Because quite frankly, Danny, it is hard to make these numbers work with a loan these days, especially if
Hmm.
somebody's like, oh, I want to get in for the least amount that I can out of pocket. Dude, it's not that type of market. And man, I don't know. Is Airbnb dead? There's a lot of that discussion out there. Is it saturated? I don't know. So the cycle will continue. But what we do know is that there's lots of Maui fans out there. And I don't think that everybody's going to stop coming.
Nope.
And we have short attention spans and even shorter memories as human beings.
Well, I think it sort of reinforces Maui as a lifestyle kind of property. I mean,
Yeah.
we talk about pure investments, and a lot of times on the mainland, a lot of people are looking for a certain cash on cash return. They're looking purely investment purposes. They want 6, 8, 10%. There's a lot better options on the market everywhere than Maui if you're just looking pure investment. I mean, even our president, well, now shareholder of our company, Sharon, talks a lot about what he's doing with his kids and some of these kind of short-term debt options with builders and condominium
Multifamily.
construction,
Yeah.
multifamily. They're seeing like 8 to 10% returns on a 6-month cycle, which sounds awesome. So if that's what you're looking for, we do have some connections that we can connect you to that are probably better options. But if you're looking at Maui, like it's really about the lifestyle purchase. It's the people that come to us that say, hey, I'm going to retire in 10 years and I want to start to establish myself now on Maui. I want to rent it out when I'm not there just to make a little money, maybe cover some of the costs. And then I want to use it for 2 weeks and 3 weeks and 4 weeks and 6 months and in 10 years. And that's really what they're doing. They love Maui. They come all the time. They live on the West Coast. I mean, these are sorts of where it really makes sense. It's just a makes sense purchase. It's not really for the money. It's not really for the investment. Now, will there be some potential benefit? Will there be some potential, equity gain over time? Will there be some potential income? Yes, potentially, but it's not going to blow anyone out of the water.
Yeah, it's an interesting purchase for many because everybody wants to be business savvy and investment minded, but then like you said, they also want to enjoy this lifestyle. And so sometimes people turn their nose up when, I'm telling them about a certain place that I like because it's not oceanfront, so you're not going to deal with future issues there. The fees are lower because of that. And it happens to be across the street from the ocean. Well, everybody doesn't want that, right?
Mhm.
And so this is where our conundrum comes in because people want it all and we can't deliver it all to them because what they want is always more expensive than what they want to spend. And maybe this one makes more sense in terms of income, but it doesn't make sense for your lifestyle. So this is what we're up with quite a bit. I've said it before, Danny. I feel that for a lot of our buyers that it's basically a very expensive toy that they feel they've worked hard and this is kind of a reward to themselves when they're finally done working all the time. However, they still need to feel responsible about buying this toy. And so that's where the vacation rentability comes in, and that's the logic piece, right? So the
Mhm.
emotional thing is I just love Maui. And I love the way that I feel while I'm there, and I've been going for so long. Really want to take this extra step and really feel like I'm owning something there. And yet I'm not going to be there all the time. So if we're just to just sit there, makes no sense, right? So this is kind of what I feel like, whether it's being said or not. Do you agree that this is kind of what most of our people go through, huh?
Yeah, I think it's a lot. I mean, we get to experience the emotions in real time, right? When they're making
Yep.
offers, when they're under contract, some of the things they express, some of the things they feel. Sometimes they disappear, sometimes they pull back and cancel, and then they come back 2 weeks later and they re-up and they want to get back in. There's just a lot of emotions, and I think that's a part of it right there. There's this sort of maybe there's a worthiness factor as well of like, hey, I deserve this, but then there's like a, well, I don't know, to like, can I really have like $1 million place in Maui? Is that crazy? So there's all kinds of thoughts and feelings and emotions that come along with this process, and some kind of process through it well, and some it overwhelms them, and some just don't even want to attempt at all. And
And this is
that's
where,
it.
yeah, this is the difficulty in terms of, in the world of coaches and advice that we hear about real estate. Our market is just so different from that. We're supposed to help people get off the fence and influence them, and yet the consequences aren't there, right? I
Mm,
mean, if you're looking for a place to house your family and your family's getting larger and your house is getting smaller, well, those are true consequences. But when we tell people, well, that price range doesn't exist in Maui, what do they tell us? Oh, I'll just move to Spain, or I'm going to Portugal, John. I'm fine. You know what I mean?
and let's be honest, those are amazing places, right? I mean, you
Hey,
can get
Maui.
tapas on the beach and sangria every night for a couple of bucks. I
Yep.
mean, you're going to Mama's Fish House and you're spending half your retirement. So
And it's $2 a head, man.
it's a
Plan on two
real
bucks a head.
it's a real
Yeah.
thing. I mean, I've been to a lot of those places that people say they want to go to, and it's amazing. I mean, you can't beat tacos in Mexico. You just
Facts.
can't,
Yeah.
especially when they're 25 cents, 50 cents.
I'm not dealing with the cartel on my beaches here, though, right? So there's
It's
what you
true.
have. What is the beauty
There's
about
trade-offs.
Maui? It is a true destination with the safety of the United States, right? That's what
This
it
is true.
is. It is a destination location. And I've heard people that have traveled the world tell me all the time, this is probably one of the most beautiful places. And it is beautiful. It is so much like when I go to different islands that don't have all the different islands around them. I mean, it is a different vibe. You feel Kauai, man, you are in the middle of the ocean, cuz right? You got
Absolutely.
Niihau, that's awesome. But man, with Maui, there is just something different. I see the Big Island. That's exciting because it's rare. But you got Lanai, Molokai, Kaho'olawe, and the God, what is it? Molokini. So just different.
All the islands. All the
Yeah.
islands.
I mean,
So
all these humpback whales can't be wrong. So come
they
over
love
here and
it
have
for a
your
reason.
kids. That's
Rest
it.
and relaxation, man.
That's it.
Rest and relaxation. So little snippet what's going on, a little bit of smart money, a little bit of kind of on the upward escalator of the market. And we're just here to share insights and share stories. And if it makes sense for you, if you ever want to chat further and book some time on our calendars, there's links in the show notes below. Just to talk about it. Even if you just sit
We're,
down 30 minutes, kind of talk about it, even if it doesn't make sense for you and you decide, hey man, like I'm going to go to Costa Rica, I'm going to go to Florida, I'm going to invest in Palm Springs, at least you kind of know, at least you explored it, at least there's no what if. Um, and that's it.
That's really our job, Danny, is to provide you with all the information that you need to make an educated choice for yourself. And your choice may be not Maui. And I did a good
Yep,
job if you came to that choice because I shared with you. And for you, it didn't make sense. That's a win for me. If I help people make a choice, I've done a good job.
that's it.
So, yeah.
That's it. I
Danny,
would
what are
say,
you
Johnny,
hearing?
there's probably real quick, I would say like 4 out of 10 people that reach out to us immediately, it's not for them.
Yeah.
Now he's
Talk
not
to
for
somebody
them.
today.
And then yeah, and then there's probably maybe two or three more that once they kind of have the conversations with us, we talk through the options, we look at what it could look like for them, also doesn't make sense. And then there's probably one or two that it makes sense right away, and then there's one that will kind of hang in limbo for maybe a few years before something happens, they feel right, their stock goes up, something in their life changes and they decide to move forward. So maybe 2 or 3 out of 10 end up doing something, and the other 7 say no.
What it really comes down to, Danny, is am I going to give myself permission to own something on Maui? And once you do that, it's done. But only the person can give themselves that permission. What I was going to ask you about it, you'd mentioned that you're hearing in the wings from our other agents and friends that maybe there's some inventory coming.
Yeah, I'm hearing a couple of agent friends talking about listing a bunch of stuff coming up soon, kind of late April, early May. I think, a few months ago, everyone was begging for inventory, right? Agents were like, we need inventory. There's nobody selling. It's very seller's market. And now we've transitioned more into a buyer's market. And now people are starting to want to sell. But now, again, we're going herd mentality. So now everyone's trying to sell. Lots of people. I mean, a lot of these listings that I'm hearing about are all in the same complexes. Yao Parkside, Harbor Lights, Kihei Villages, kind of the typical turnover complexes, but now you're going to have boatloads of inventory. Whereas with 15, 17 listings now, you're going to push that to 20, 25 listings. Your competition is going to be fierce. I mean, even
what do you
Harbor
think
Lights,
this is? Is it
yeah.
landlords that are, like investor landlords that are unloading? Because those are all just residential complexes, I mean, I know the fees have gone up. But, is that what's that next person going to do if they're selling because the fees are too expensive? I mean, those are value places to own here, Do they just go back to renting? And I'm just asking hypothetically.
Yeah, good question. I mean, I know some of them are investors and they're just trying to get out and reinvest elsewhere. It's just kind of their time. And other people I haven't heard too much about fees, honestly. Like, people complain about the fees, of course. But I haven't heard too many selling because of that reason in order to get into something else. Because, I mean, let's face it, if you want to get into a rental right now in Maui, it's way more expensive than buying something.
And then you get some weird ones, man. Like, I was doing a showing yesterday in Opukea, and I was there with Robin, and she's a huge, long-term property manager here. And she was talking about it. Maybe it's because, still technically burn zone, but $3,500 for a 2-bedroom in Opukea. Dude, that got my attention. I was like, man, that's kind of cheap. I hate to say it, but man, that's a good value right there for Opukea, man. So
Geez, Harbor Lights is $3,200 for a 2-bedroom.
I know. So I
3,500 seems like a deal.
Found that very interesting, man.
But there it is. When other people don't want to be there, they're not quite ready to be in Lahaina, burn zone, everything that happened, and that's your opportunity to get in.
There it is, right? Lahaina Shores,
turn
man,
around,
great
that's
example.
going back up to 5,000. Yeah.
Lahaina Shores, great example, bro. I mean, people are buying those because they are an absolute steal, dude. I'm seeing stuff, what, 4.25,
350.
350 for Mountain View, but still, it's because that's a long-term prospect, right? That is Lahaina specific, sat right next to 505, close to the banyan tree, all the things. It's going to be a long term, but people are investing for the long term by buying right now. And there's a great example of smart money.
People love it. They didn't want to. I mean, we had a few clients that really loved that complex. But once it started pushing 500 for a studio, they were like, no chance. Now it's down to 450, 425, 350. Those sorts of people are coming back around because they're like, that makes sense. We want to be there, right? I mean, how many people do we talk to, Johnny, that are like, they absolutely love one property on the island and they just want to be there. Whatever it takes, they want to be there.
It's the feeling of community, right? So
there it is. Let's jump in. What do you got for us?
Let's do this.
Hula hula.
All righty, man. We got something in Kihei to get us started here. Seeing all kinds of price reductions going down. Man, there's a lot of movement here. A lot of movement in the Kamali'i Laina. And I'm a fan of the community. I like the style of the homes. That classic post and pier semi-plantation action. 1,225,000 for 1,560. Little reduction from 1.299. I'd consider that still North Kihei-ish. Danny, am I right there, you think?
Definitely.
Yeah. Kaha'o Drive, so definitely more kind of Kalama central area. Got this guy here, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,600 square feet on a fairly standard size lot, 8,000. If you had the room on here or the place for it, you could drop an ohana on here, maybe up to 2 since it's over 7,500 feet. Does feel aspirationally priced to me. No garage that I can see. So those are my thoughts there. We'll see how that one plays out. Kapalua Ridge, man, these are holding their own, Danny. And Kapalua is never going to stop being a high-end real estate location on Maui. So 2.195. This is 2-bedroom, 3-bath with that incredibly sucky view of Molokai in the Pacific. You've got this crappy beach down here that has crappy waves that you don't ever want to go down to. That's down in this area here. You may or may not see me. 2-bedroom, 3-bath, maintenance fees, $1,774. Definitely over $1,000 a foot. But these will still make great second homes. Bro, this one kind of hurts a little bit. That's a nice view at a Ho'olea Terrace. I feel that they're coming right out the gates with event-based pricing. Danny, what say you?
Seems pretty good value.
It does. So 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath. Mom lives in this head here, 754 square feet. How it works is the half bath is actually connected to the primary bedroom. And so you go through the primary, you can use your half bath, and then you can go through another door, and then there's the full bath there. So that's the configuration.
Jack and Jill style.
Yep. I want to say the maintenance fees are higher than this amount here, but I'm just going to leave that there. I mean, it's being listed here after the start of the year when budgets are done. So I may be incorrect there, but Mom's complaining about condo fees because she's a condo owner and fees aren't fun. They're just necessary. So Keonikai Villages, this seems like something that our friend had at one point. Maybe, maybe not. No, it's a downstairs unit, so it has a yard. Keonikai Villages, guys, 549, 2-bedroom, 1.5 baths. It is a downstairs unit, so it will have a bit of a yard. And I'm kind of feeling that this is perceived market value now in Keonikai Villages. We're just throwing out terms for the 3 ways that you price real estate. AI is not one of them. Kaanapali Shores, $875 for a 1-bedroom, 1-bath. Kaanapali Shores is definitely resort-like. All types of amenities, all types of shops, even has West Maui Fishing Supply in there. There's a gym, there's a spa. So this guy here, I believe, is further up and kind of, oh no. So yeah, looking down, a little bit of an ocean view there, parking lot, Papakea right next door there. We'll see what happens with that one there. Maintenance fees, $1,651 per month. Kaanapali Shores does include electricity in that figure there. Papakea Resort, Danny, look at this. 3-bedroom, 3-bath. I don't imagine that they built it that way, but let's see here. Well, there's all kinds of stuff going on at Papakea, closing down some of the buildings, retrofitting piping, but a rare unicorn of a 3-bedroom, 3-bath, 1,145 square feet, maintenance fees, $2,741. Papakea is very resort-like as well. I was just there. I went to the front desk. They gave me a key so I could go do the showing, but it is zoned apartment on the Minatoya list. And I actually didn't realize this, but in the past, it was actually built for first-time homeowners. So based off of what the mayor has mentioned recently, that he wants workforce housing ones, I don't know, man. That's where this one, and before I thought I was being told it was zoned apartment and hotel. Now you're hearing all these other ancillary things. Just part of the chaos of the condo market right now, Danny. Got a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, very small home up in Mauna Loa. So Mauna Loa is on the west side. It sits up above Papahaku Beach and what used to be the resort area of the Papahaku Beach area, Kaluakoi, they called it. It's a small town that's up here. My dad actually had a second dental office here. He had one here. The other was in Kuala Pu'u, Ho'olehua area. Used to be a big presence from Molokai Ranch. I remember when I went back here with my wife, there was a KFC in a movie theater, and I just lost it. I was like, oh my God, Molokai coming into the future. That's no longer there. Molokai Ranch is gone as well. But 419 gets you an actual house on Molokai. Kihei Villages, Danny, 630. Looks like it has had some updates in the past. Looks like that was in 2020. It's a downstairs unit. It's the 60 building. Is that one of the ones that kind of runs along that park there and maybe has a Scotia view?
I think it's on the side,
Okay.
if I remember
Some
right.
beautiful updates there. It's got the nice, sexy flooring. So 630 has a bit of a yard there. Maintenance fees 826. Kihei Villages, a very beloved residential complex in North Kihei. Walk across the street to the beach. Why does this one keep canceling, Danny? This one seemed like such a deal, and this is the second time that it's fallen out of escrow. Now, guys, what happens when something falls out of escrow twice? Well, this is the kiss of death with cancellation. We start out at 2.699, drop to 2.495. We go into escrow. We pop back out again. We go in. We pop back out. And then it cancels again. You continue to have to do price reductions to kind of supplement. People ask, why is it canceling? And they think something becomes wrong with it. And so the value continues to go down.
And there could be something wrong with it.
There very well could be. Or it could just be some sort of misunderstanding. But man, that looks like a beautiful home, dude. Waileakialoa. So I'm going to send that to somebody today, Danny. Oh, Pali. So this is up there in Kula Meadows, gated agricultural community, 5 acres for $1,395,000. Hey, holiday here, Danny. This one is zoned hotel. Yes.
The deal of the week.
Holiday.
We sent this out as a deal of the week.
That's the one, and look what happens. It is a deal of the week, guys. 2-bedroom, 1 bath, $799. Probably got a little bit more money shaved off of that. So
John, we see one listing in that property every 18 months.
There's the jam, guys.
People love it.
That's actually a good point there, Danny. When there's not a lot of movement in the community, sometimes that's a positive. You know, sometimes as a realtor, I may look at that and go, wow, that's very illiquid, but actually it's just nobody wants to move from there.
Mm-hmm.
So look at dirt in Wailea McKenna, Danny. 6.52 acres, listed at 4.25 and brought all the money, sold before listed. Part of that new McKenna Golf in the Discovery area. And it's just amazing to me because we're not at the ocean there, but bringing some money there, man. Villas at Kealani. We like this community. We like Kealani. This one sold $1,282,000. Will you give me just a little bit off that price? Sure. 7,000 reduction. Got it done. Dude, and that's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath with 2-bedroom pricing there. Moana Avenue in Moana Estates. So close to Wailea. Thus, we see a price increase. Brought almost, well, it did bring over $1,000 a foot there. Well played. 1031 exchange. So somebody just moved some money around there from somewhere else. Coconut Grove, dude, this is the second one that I've seen sell. This is right directly on Kapalua Bay. This is Merriman's restaurant right over here, guys. You can walk to that. You got the Montage right over here. So you have some incredible neighbors. I remember when this is the Kapalua Bay Resort and they tore it down to build Coconut Grove. These take a long time to sell. They are luxurious. They have beautiful views. They're not vacation rentable. So started out at 6.295, brought 5.1 million, only took 500 days to sell, but those are gorgeous. Ho'olei, Danny, boy, start out at 6 million, end up 4.15 for cash. So somebody got a great value there at Ho'olei with that view.
I think there's something interesting real quick right here, Johnny. Go back to Ho'olei.
Danny. Yeah.
So you see something like Ho'olei, which is typically owned by someone who's done pretty well in their life.
Absolutely.
own a $5 million condo on Maui. You've done something pretty well in your life and your business to get there. Now, you also have the financial means and insulation to have some fluidity in these sort of investments, second home, toy, whatever it is, versus maybe something, if it was at Kehalani, is a bit more of someone who either lives there or they have kind of spent a lot of their life trying to get to this point. Like, you do see a difference to where, like, someone like this at Ho'olea is willing to take 1.8 million less
Yeah.
over time to get this thing sold versus that Kehalani that's $7,000 with a cash offer. Like, I don't know if what I'm saying is even kind of catching on, but what I'm trying to say is, like, there might be a bit more room for a deal when you're working in certain locations and with certain clientele versus others.
Facts. Well, there's definitely an argument that people that are listing to sell right now have a good reason to, right? Because if they're listening, I don't know, maybe all agents on Maui just all say the same thing. It's a great time to sell or buy. But right now, with all the competition in condos, is it a good time to sell? Not in the world of simple economics of supply and demand.
Oh, great.
So, yeah. But there's a prime example. Are prices coming down on Maui? Yes. Just not all at once and not everywhere. Right?
Yep.
So,
And
good
here's the
points
next one.
there. Yeah. Kulalani, man. $795. Brought $750. 2-bedroom, 1-bath. Up in Kula View. Brought $750 instead. So, man, from $899, and I mean, $899 for Kula still seemed like a value. But yeah, there we have it. 242 days to get that done too. So as Maui turns, Danny, Omaupio Road, I mean, that's just not a sexy photo for a 2 million plus property personally, but didn't bring 2.5, brought 2.1 instead. And look at all the cash that gets thrown around Maui, right? What does this tell you about our clientele and where you're investing? And somebody just couldn't help themselves with this cutie here, Danny. Built in 43. Somebody came in 22 and just said, hey, you know what? We're going to retro mod this guy, right? Just like Gas Monkey, where they take a cool old car and they make it new underneath. That's what they did here. Can I give you a little less? Okay, I'll take 1.2. Let's go through some photos, man, because I'd love. Oh, look at that back in the back, though, Danny. Added on quite a bit there, huh? 1313 square feet. Yeah, it's cute. It's cute. Last one. Oh, up it on here. Kealani, 1,358. Brought 1,330. 1638 square feet. I want to say that they're selling them for more for the brand new version up there, but this could very well be one of those people that do what we tell people. You buy brand new in new construction. So there you go. They picked this thing up for $850 back in 2021. Had to wait a few years, but they still pulled out. What is that, Danny? Quick little 400.
Yeah.
3-4 years. Well played. That's what I got today on the Hulahan gang. Can't tell you how grateful Danny and I are that you guys actually sit here and watch us. I really am. I like talking about it. I like being about it. I like being a realtor here on Maui.
Thanks for hanging out with us. And as
Yeah.
always, if you have questions, you want to talk story, you can book some time on our calendars, links below. You can text Johnny if you want a coffee or a smoothie, 808-268-4262.
Let's
And
go.
if you have anything you want us to cover, you can drop it in the comments as well below. We're here for you.
Yeah.
Until next time.
Go get them, guys. Have a
Aloha.
wonderful weekend, gang. Ahui.